Hi, everybody. Welcome to Angel's Place. So, tonight we have a story time. We're going to be doing a reaction to Selena's story. I'm glad that you could join me today. Go ahead and like, comment, share, and subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate it. So, let's go ahead and jump into this story.
I never told anyone this except for my family. My family does know this. A lot of you guys do not. But this is a story time on how I contracted HIV. So my childhood was rough. I did not have my father growing up. I grew up with a mother that was constantly working. My mom loved me as much as she knew how to love me, considering how she was raised. But again, I did not have a father. I didn't have a father figure in my household. My mother was a single mother trying to make ends meet. We lived in a very impoverished neighborhood. She was as strict as she could be because she was never at home. My mom worked two jobs. She was a CNA during the day, and at night she was no during the day she worked at Walmart, and at night she was a CNA. So the only time I saw my mom was sleep when I'm leaving out to go to school. I would like to give a little bit of part into how hypersexual I was, other than the fact that my father was not in the home. From the time that I could remember, literally from my very first memories is one of my cousins coming in my room playing out with me. Um, Up until the point that I was 9 and my cousin was unalived in a drive-by. At 11, I found myself having intercourse with other cousins my age because of what was happening to me. We thought that it was normal. At 12, I was full on masturbating, and at 13, I lost my virginity to a 17-year-old young man. By the time that I was 15, I had almost over 11 bodies. At 14, 15, at 15 years old, I had almost 11 bodies. I started high school in 2010. Um,
Okay, so Selena is giving her background and she's saying that her first sexual encounter was with a family member. If I'm not misunderstanding what she's saying, she slept with other family members all through her childhood. She caught a STD and she had over 11 bodies by the time she was 15. Wow, I think that's a lot. She was very unsupervised at home.
I would say that I went crazy. My mom was never at home. Everyone knew that you could come to my house at night if you wanted to have intercourse with this person. You want to link up, and your parents not doing it at your house. You could come to my house because my mom again was never at home because she was always working, trying to provide for me. At 16, I caught chlamydia. That was my very first STD.
So I would like to stop right there to just have our parents that are watching right now pay close attention to what she's saying. When we're out working and trying to make a living for our kids, they're at home, they're not supervised. We just need to have a thought for a minute and think for a minute that they might be doing something that they shouldn't be doing at home. I know it's hard because we have to work, but maybe if we can get a sitter, someone that we can really, really trust, and have a cam or something at the house so that we'll know more about what's going on and what our kids are doing at home.
STD. At 16, I caught chlamydia. At 17, I was full on doing orgies. I was getting trains ran on me. And at 18, at this point, it is 2013 going to 2014. See, that boy moved from Detroit. No, he moved from Atlanta. I lied. He had roots in Detroit. He moved from Atlanta and we really fast. We were in the same together, and we just so I ended up skipping a grade. I was, even though I was out here in the streets, girl, your girl was smart. Okay, smart sometimes wasn't, which is how I got. But we started and I can honestly say at this age that I am now, that's the only at the age in. So in December of our senior year on Christmas, he asked me to be his girlfriend. I said yes, of course. I never had a
Yes, if any kids are watching this, I want you to understand the rumor that she had going around at the school about her. She would date guys at the school. She was dating this one guy in particular, and the other guys were telling her, no, 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 that's not somebody that you cuff. That's somebody that you hit it and run, because she had a very low reputation. No one respected her. The guys at the school didn't respect her. And that's truly sad.
small town. All of us went to the same high school. Our graduating class was maybe 250 people. I grew up in a very conservative household also. So, I was just happy to have a boyfriend. So in February, I ended up getting accepted to Georgia State, which is out in Atlanta. He told me he didn't want to go to college. I had partial scholarship. I had 50% scholarship. And again, because my mother, I live in an impoverished neighborhood. My mother is getting food stamps. We could barely make ends meet. My mom, like I didn't know how I was going to come up with the other 50%. So my boyfriend, who said he was not going to college because he was just going to take up a trade, he was going to put that aside and he was going to it's a park right there, but he was going to put me through college. So we ended up moving in with his folks, and within it's 2 parks. Within 2 months of us being in Atlanta, we ended up finding a house and we moved out. So I'm just focusing on at this point, I'm just focusing on my school and my studies, but he is trying to keep his head above water because, again, he's not making money because he's new to the trade and he's trying to put me through school. So I ended up meeting this girl who told me, like, she heard me on the phone talking to him about how I wasn't going to be able to finish school next semester because of the simple fact that I'm not going to have the money to. Even though I got 50% scholarship, I'm not going to have the money to. So she asked me to come out to the club and see if I like it. And she was like, I'm ready for it. Like, I'm paying for everybody. Come out to the club. At night, I go to the strip club. During the day, I come to school. And she told me, like, keep your head on the swivel. Do not get in anything. Stay out of the mix. Mind your business. Get in and get out. Get your money and go. She basically told me what Diamond told Ebony. Don't let the you make money. Don't let the money make you. Period. I wish I would have took heed to her advice but I didn't. So that's how I'm in the situation that I'm in now. My first night in it was amateur night. Literally, my first night, it was a Friday. Um, if y'all don't know, in like 20 at this point, it is 20. Dang, my memory is so bad. But it's like 2014, 2015. That's when like KOD was heavy. Well, actually, KOD was like heavy in like 2009. But that's when people was making real money. So, Migos was real hot. I would like to say I did take gymnastics for a extended for a period of time anymore. So I was very flexible. And because I like to party, I knew how to harass. I knew how to harass. Okay, so I was first night in a club. My very first night in a club, I made $3,000. I was able to come home, pay rent, and be able to pay down on my next semester to continue school. My boyfriend did not know where I was getting this money from, and frankly, I was not ready to tell him like I'm a stripper. So I didn't tell him. Which now that I'm thinking about it, I wish I would have told him because I feel like he probably would have picked up another job to. I wish he I feel like he would have picked up another job to support me, but that's the past we live in the present right now. So at this point, I'm in love with the man. Like I don't even want to go to school anymore. I want money. I don't even care about school. I'm in school for nursing. So my first year, after my first year is complete, I got on the dean's list. I ended up dropping out of school because all I care about is the money. That whole summer, I brought in maybe $30,000.
Okay, so now Selena has described to us how she got into college. Um, she wasn't going to be able to pay all of her tuition, so her boyfriend went ahead and worked to support her through college. That still wasn't enough, so she took on a job as a stripper to pay for her college. But once she started making all of this money, she decided to drop out of college.
That summer alone, I brought in a good $30,000. So at the end of 2016, and my boyfriend asked me like, "Hey, I'm not trying to be in your business, but like, you don't work. Where you get this money from?" And I told him like, "I'm in a strip club." That caused a big argument, and I was telling him like, "Hey, you don't understand. Like, I could put both of us through with the same amount of money. Both of us through with the same amount of money that I'm making. You don't understand." And he was like, "I don't trust it. Like, you need to get this job." And I was telling him how good it was. It was really good. I was telling him I'm gonna work every night. That's what I'm gonna do. So he ended up coming to the club with me every night, except for one Friday. Met guy named Red. Me and Red hit off pretty fast. I mean, we hit it off night. We ended up having taking a lot of my time because he was at this point. I was long. You let me know strip. I'm just he was like, "Hey, you don't have to be in the club anymore. You let me do what I need to do to you, and that's gonna be the end of the conversation. Club, so it started turning into a regular thing between us. Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, I didn't work at the club because those were the days that my boyfriend was off, so he wanted me off those days too. Monday through Friday, I would tell my boyfriend like I'm gonna hit the club because at that point he stopped coming to the club. He was coming to the club and drinking. My boyfriends were not allowed in there anymore. In there anymore anyway. So I told the security guard to tell him that. So I would park my car at the club and I would link up with Red. So one day, Red asked me like, "Have you ever had been in an orgy? Have you ever been in a train?" I was telling him like, "Yeah, I have been." I have been back in high school. I've done it recently in my adult years. And he brought in another guy, which was his homeboy. And how do I put this? They started kissing in front of me, and then they started having intercourse with one another. And then Red threw a stack of money on the bed and told me bend over, and he opened my bare back, my butt open, and he started going hard. And at this point, I've never done
Mm.
anal before. So that was a new experience for me. I went to get tested after that because I'm not gonna lie, I did used to think HIV was a gay disease, so I did definitely went to go get tested. I did not have any symptoms. So that's
So Selena met a guy named Red, and he started hanging out with her. He told her she didn't have to strip anymore, that she could just come and chill with him, and he would pay her tenfold or whatever she was having at the club. And she decided to go ahead and do that. They would have sex on a regular basis, and then one night he brought in his friend, and all of them participated in an orgy. And the following day, she went to be tested because it was unprotected.
egregious, having intercourse with one another. So one day he brought this girl in from Miami, and we all three started having intercourse with one another. Of course, a few weeks went by. I didn't have Red, but in that time, I started getting very sick. I had large lymph nodes. I was just really sick. So I went to the doctor. The doctors was telling me like, you may have the flu. It doesn't look like anything is wrong with you. I don't. It doesn't. At that point, like, it's not registering for me to go get tested. So I'm not going to go get tested. Cause I'm like, I just got tested a few months ago. I cannot have this. If I did, my boyfriend would have it because again, at this time, I'm still having intercourse with my boyfriend. So, the doctors test me again. It came back negative. So I'm like, oh, it's negative. I don't have it. My sugar daddy called me and he goes, "You need to go get tested." I told him I just got tested or whatever. And in the middle of me telling him I just got tested, seeing Atlanta Medical Center call me. And they're like, "Hey, Miss Price, we need to call you in. We need to bring you in. We think we gave you a false positive, a false negative." So I went back in. At this point, my heart is racing because I don't even know how to tell my boyfriend, who has been supporting me and loving me, that I have HIV and I possibly gave it to him and am going to ruin his life because of my greed and my lust. So I went into the hospital. They ran a few more tests. They told me we'll contact you a few more days. At this point, I'm just like, how do I tell him? How do I tell him? How do I tell him? A day before I got my results in, he came home and he asked me, "Do you have HIV?" I told him no. I'm showing him the paperwork. And he goes, "Selena, I've never been with anybody but you. So again, I'm going to ask you one more time. Do you have HIV and who are you sleeping with?" I told him, like, I don't have it. I'm showing him the test results. He go again, "Selena, I've never slept with anybody but you. Who have you been sleeping with?" And I finally broke down. I told him, like, I was having intercourse with a man named Red.
I want to make a comment. Now, I'm not judging anyone, but she was sleeping with Red. They were having threesomes with other people. At home, she has a loyal boyfriend that has always had her back. Now, why wouldn't she protect her boyfriend by using condoms with him, or make sure that she's using condoms outside of the relationship? Then, once she got warned to go and get tested, she could have told him then what was going on so he would be on alert. So I'm assuming that some type of way he ended up getting sick and he found out the situation and he was letting her know that he hasn't been sleeping with anyone else besides her.
Like and one thing led to another. Next day, he asked me to see a picture of Red, and I told him, like, I don't know what you're gonna do. I'm gonna show you. because he was hard headed. He never hit me. He was very hot. So I didn't want to break. So the next day goes by. He stayed with his mother. The next day go by. I get a call. They tell me to come in. They tell me you are HIV positive. My heart dropped. Not because of I'm HIV positive, but because I ruined his life. I ruined my boyfriend's life because I was chasing money and he told me I didn't have to do that. Because I had hypersexuality built in me and I was chasing lust and a feeling. And I didn't have to do that. And I cried and I cried and I cried and I cried. So he called me like, hey, Jerome, come in today. I told him, yeah, I do have HIV. He told me like you ruined my and he was like, you the least you could do is show me who this dude is, tell me who he is. So came over and I showed him the dude. And he takes the phone and he's like, I know you lying. And I said, that's it. And it was his father.
Wow.
I was sleeping with his father. And he ended up telling his mother about it. His mom told him he the reason why they broke up was because she caught him in bed with a man. He been HIV positive. He gave her HIV.
Mm.
So I was wondering how I kept coming up negative. And a girl at the club ended up telling me like he marked all of his women. All of his women have HIV. He be on his medicine. I'm now on my medicine to where I'm undetectable, so you can't detect me at all. But he didn't have HIV in him at all. So they say that he was on medicine, and when he wants you to be his off his medicine, he let his counts go enough so he can't transmit it to you and mark you. And after that, he basically discards you, and that's that. So at that point, my life, it felt like it was shrinking in. Like I just started breathing real hard. I started panting. His mother telling me like this gonna be okay. And he like losing it because he never knew his mother. I mean, he never knew his mother. He pictures of his father. His mom, his mom is like, what's wrong, son? And it was more than the fact that he I HIV. It was like it was something so much deeper, so much more sinister. It was twisted. His reaction. I can't say that it wasn't uncalled for because it definitely was. I was cheating on you. You trying to give me a good life. You just found out I got HIV from the man that gave your mother HIV. And then around and he says, I thought I gave you HIV, Selena, but it seems like we got it from the same man. And then I really started going, what the hell is this? What are you talking about? He go, night from that night met the man Red. I didn't know how to tell you that I was also exploring my sexuality and I been sleeping with him also. So at that point, me and him have slept with his father. And I think the sickest part about it is his father knew who he was. His father knew exactly who he was.
Wow, look how the plot thickened. So her boyfriend was also sleeping with the guy Red, who turned out to be his father. All these people just out loose, just doing all sorts of things, just not protecting themselves. This is truly a sad story, but it's also educational. So please, let's listen and learn.
And we found out that he was that out later on. But I would like to say this was a story, but if you want to be like that and you chase you want to go and get tested and do they'll tell you because you don't know stop. Do you want to be like that? You don't. So get it in order, babe, and go get checked. That ain't it. Go get checked, boo. So HIV is no longer a sentence. You could take medicine, take your medicine, and either take or you could be on PrEP and not get it at all if you do just so happen to sleep with someone that has HIV. But I hope you guys enjoyed my story time. Well, my story, because not story time, because that didn't happen to me. So I have a great rest of your day.
So that was a very interesting story. And at the same time, I'm also glad that that wasn't a true story. But like she said, if you are living that type of lifestyle, please be careful out there. There are so many people out there that know their status and they don't care about giving it to you. So, with that being said, thank you for joining me at Angel's Place. And I enjoyed your company. Please like this video, share this video, and subscribe to my channel. Until next time, good night.